Bonjour, dans cette vidéo, on va parler du verbe irrégulier avoir. So in this video, we're going to look at the irregular verb avoir. So we're going to notice that this is one that you're going to have to memorize just like être. And we have j'ai, tu as, il ou elle a, right? Our he and our she are the same. Nous avons. We're noticing our liaison with the S. Vous avez, again, we have the liaison with the S. Ils ont, elles ont, so are they. We also, again, hear the liaison. And that's very important because that distinguishes ils ont from ils sont, which is another verb, right? That's our être verb. We will also notice that all of these start with vowels. So with our je, we have our J apostrophe there because of that vowel. So this is avoir, and now we're going to build on that verb, and we're going to look at negation. We're going to look at our ne pas. And if you remember from what we studied before, we looked at ne pas as like a sandwich, right? The ne goes first, the verb goes in the middle, and the pas is the other slice of bread of our sandwich. So we're going to have je n'ai pas, tu n'as pas, il n'a pas, nous n'avons pas. Did you hear that the liaison disappeared there, right? Because the S does not slide into the A anymore because we have our N there, nous n'avons pas. Same thing with vous, vous n'avez pas, and same thing with the they, elles n'ont pas. You're going to also notice that the ne drops the E every single time with avoir because we have those vowels. So we have an apostrophe and then our verb and then the pas. So now we've seen our irregular verb avoir, we've seen our regular negation with ne pas, and we're going to build on those two skills. So there are 3 rules that I want you to remember when we're talking about negation or making a sentence negative. So the very first one is when we see the indefinite articles un, une, and des. They become pas, de, right? Or a D apostrophe if there is a vowel. So we have an example. Je n'ai pas de livre. I don't have any books. So I have the pas de instead of having des livres because livre is plural. So we say je n'ai pas de livre, and that's because normally I would say j'ai des livres. I have some books, and I say non, je n'ai pas de livre. No, I don't have any books. So the un, une, and des is going to become pas de when I use it in a sentence. So that is the first rule that you want to remember. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to see the second rule. The second rule is talking about when we use être as a verb in our sentence. Okay, être is going to be an exception. So if I have a phrase like ce n'est pas un livre, right? I have a, my est there, and that is a form of être. And because of that, that un livre, right? If I had it without the negative, I could say c'est un livre, or I could say in the negative, like I have here, ce n'est pas un livre. My un did not change, and that's the exception, right? With the un, une, and des in the previous rule, we saw that it changed after pas. But if I use être, it does not change. And the last one that I want to keep in mind is if I have le, la, and les. And notice that le, la, and les equal le, la, and les. That means they don't change at all. So we have our example here. Elle n'a pas la voiture. Right? So my la right here is after my pas, and it didn't change to a de. So with le, la, and les, my definite articles, I do not need to change those and make it pas de. So again, the 3 things we want to keep in mind is number 1, if we have un, une, and des, they're going to become our pas de. If we're using être as a verb, we are not going to worry about any changes. And if we have le, la, and les, we're not going to worry about any changes. So let's look at some examples. First we have, est-ce que tu as une calculatrice? Do you have a calculator? And I want to say no. Non, je n'ai pas de calculatrice. Do you see what happened there? Our une calculatrice changed to de calculatrice because I have pas. Let's look at the next one. Est-ce que Paul aime les sports? Does Paul like sports? Non. Il n'aime pas, there's my negative, les sports. He doesn't like sports. So we're noticing that with les, it is not changing. So our une went to de after our negative, but our les stayed the same. So we're following our rules there. Then we have our final example. I'll move my camera here so you can see. Est-ce que c'est une chambre agréable? Non, ce n'est pas une chambre agréable. So you can see here again, we're using a form of être. We're using c'est. So in our question we have c'est une chambre. And then our negative, we're just going to make the a negative. So ce n'est pas. And then we leave our une chambre. So these are the three rules that we want to keep in mind when we're using the negative, our pas de. So we have the de if we're using un, une, and des. If we're using être or we have le, la, and les, we don't have to worry about changing those. So if you have any questions with any of these rules, let me know. À la prochaine. Au revoir.